Hi, this is Noma Dimitri, and I'm in the French Alps, and there is bad news for a lot of people because the wolf is back. After quite a few decades where the wolf was annihilated from all these high alpine mountains, by men, of course. Who else would kill all the wolves? Um, some families have taken root again in this valley. They can be living somewhere like right here, for example. There seem to be about 9 individuals right now, and the phenomenon has started. The first sightings were about 3 years ago. And there are 9 now, which means that somebody has found somebody else, they fell in love, and they reproduced. So these wolves are running around, and of course they're too shy, they're too few to ever descend down on the bottom of the valley, like here, where there are the villages. So why are people so upset? The reason they're so upset is because this valley, as remote as it looks like to you, it's still a living place for them. And since there's not that much to do, the only things you have to do is like some agriculture and then raising sheep. And that's the problem. In the old days, what would happen is the sheep would spend the winter in a nice little place full of food right over here. And then, as soon as spring started melting the snows, they would open up the sheep and they would get a shepherd or two and a few dogs, and they would take the sheep up here, okay, where the so-called winter pastures. So they would take summer pastures, sorry, of course. So the snows would melt, fresh grass would come up, all these gigantic mountains, and the sheep would climb up with a shepherd and their dogs to spend the whole summer up here. Then when late fall came and things started getting cold and the grass was getting brown and the first snowflakes were falling down, they would bring the sheep down in a phenomenon called as transhumance, and they would lock them up in the rooms again to spend the cold winter. So this used to be done with shepherds, but once they killed the wolves, then there was no reason, since there's no other predators left here. There's no other predators. There's no lynx. There's no tigers. There's no pumas. There's no elephants. And there's no bears at all. So there's nothing that really can hurt these sheep. They got into the habit of letting them on their own hang out. The dogs would take care of them, a little bit would oversee them, and they would just pretty much be on their own, hanging out, eating the entire summer without any supervision. So this saved you the cost of a shepherd. That would have to spend every day and night up there guarding them with a gun to make sure that the wolves don't eat them. But now that the wolves are back, what do you do? These people really make a tiny amount of money with this sheep farming, and so they can't really afford anymore to hire shepherds to stay up 3 months, 90 days with the sheep up there. So they're complaining and they want to shoot the wolves, and it's against the law, and they go and shoot them anyways, and then there's huge problems and fines and screaming and crying and everything else. So it's a huge mess, and the environmentalists, of course, are accusing them, and it's a huge mess. So basically, even in this small kind of valley like this, there are lots of issues that echo in your own life, wherever it is that you live, about conservation, about biodiversity, about protecting animals. What the environmentalists correctly say is that for any ecosystem to be considered healthy, there has to be a top predator, and therefore you need the wolf because the wolf is the top predator. These guys are saying, well, we're the top predator. Let us hunt, and we'll go with guns, and we'll shoot the extra deer, etc., that seem to damage everything when their numbers get out of control, as they did in Yosemite in America, etc. So these are the questions. Which side are you on?